Hi, my name is Thomas Bles. I'm a researcher at ICARUS in the domain of climate change adaptation and infrastructure, and I'm happy to present to you the process of implementing climate change adaptation that we developed within the ICARUS project. First, it will be good to frame this presentation within the ICARUS framework. You see all the main steps that one needs to take to get climate change adaptation implemented in the processes, and this presentation basically fits in all steps. All steps need to be considered when making this decision case for adaptation. Key learning points of this presentation are to understand the process on how to implement climate change adaptation within NRAs. So we will walk you through all the steps that one needs to take. To understand the general approaches for building the case for adaptation, I'm going to present to you 3 approaches. To understand the relationship between the decision context, the resilience assessments, and implementing the results in projects or via guidelines, and to understand the main hurdles and how to overcome these. While you are watching this video, I also recommend you to watch the other ICARUS video on making the case for climate adaptation, as this is kind of an introduction into this presentation. Here we see the 3 approaches that we recommend using for making the case for adaptation. I will walk you through this picture. So it starts with a proper understanding of the decision context. Here are the steering mechanisms that the road authority may use, as well as a proper understanding of the performance metrics that are used for decision making. This decision context can be translated into benefits and co-benefits that can be used for valuation of adaptation options. And when this is all set, we can go to the 3 orange boxes that provide the 3 approaches for climate change adaptation. The first one is at the network or connection level. It is about monitoring trends in the KPIs. This is really about understanding how did extreme weather affect the performance of the road in the past. And when this is known, this can easily be used also to extrapolate into the future and to understand whether or not climate change really is going to make an impact on the KPIs. This can be used to provide arguments at mainly the strategic and tactical level at the road authorities. The second approach is on adapting the asset management system itself. Here you can change the design, maintenance, and operation guidelines of the road authorities. Basically, there are 2 approaches to do this. The first one is to try to maintain the performance that is being obtained by using the asset management guidelines. So basically, one says in the future, the performance should be similar to the performance of today's climate. The second one, is to optimize the performance. And this is by conducting cost-benefit assessments to understand, okay, when do the cost of adaptation provide additional benefits, and what's the perfect situation where additional cost would not lead to additional performance anymore. And this is kind of the optimum place that you can aim for when going to adaptation. This information of the asset management guidelines can be also used for the third approach to optimize the adaptation in specific projects. This is specifically valid for really big projects where one has the opportunity to do cost-benefit assessments in the projects themselves. So that's the third option, and this goes both ways. So the use cases where the climate change adaptation has been optimized in a specific project can also be used to adapt the asset management guidelines. These 2 approaches are at the tactical and operational level of the road authorities and link mainly to the object or the connection level of the infrastructure. With this background, we have developed an adaptation implementation process within ICARUS. Here you see a picture at the right, which is a bit complicated with all the sub-steps in between, but I will show it like this in this shorter presentation. Here you see the key steps that one needs to take. So first to start with awareness raising, then making a key link to the decision context. And when this is done, the resilience assessment can be started with, followed with the adaptation plan, and then the implementation in either asset management and or implementation in projects. And what can be learned from this picture is that all management levels should be engaged. So these are the columns in this process. So all management levels from strategic to tactical and operational level need to be engaged. There are continuous shifts between those levels. And that's why we also advocate that one person should be in charge of this entire process. To get a proper link with the decision context is really key. Oftentimes, one directly starts with the resilience assessment, but when the link to the decision context is not made properly, there is really the risk that the resilience assessment is going to provide very interesting results, but that these results cannot be used within the decision-making processes. So the resilience and adaptation assessment should be tailored to the needs of the organization for whom this assessment is being done. It's also key to understand how climate change affects the performance, to determine the thresholds that can be used to say whether or not the level of resilience is acceptable, yes or no. And one can implement adaptation via two routes, by adapting the asset management and by using it at the individual project level. Well, this brings me to the summary. So the recommended order of implementing climate change adaptation is to start with awareness and then to really consider carefully the decision context, after which the resilience assessment, adaptation plan and implementation can be considered. It is important to understand how climate events impact the KPIs of the road authority to derive the thresholds for acceptability. The results of the resilience assessment should use the same language or units as are generally used for decision making. So this is again this critical link to the decision context. All management levels will be engaged, and we advocate having one person in charge of the entire process. And it is important to make sure that the resources for budget, expertise and capacity are guaranteed at the different levels of the NRA. And this can be done also in different stages of the process. This brings me to the end of this presentation. You can find more information at the icarus.project.cedar.eu website. You can find all deliverables that have been made in this project. And for this particular presentation, deliverable 2.2 and 2.3, as visualized here, are the most important ones. You can find them here under the dissemination tab of the website. Thank you all for your attendance, and see you at another presentation. Thank you.